All right, here we are for another session on the Rich Life Projects, and I'm a bit excited today to get this fella, tie him down into a chair, because I know he's a busy man, but he's half of the genius teams of the wrestlers with the Hickman brothers. Frankie Hickman, welcome to the Rich Life Projects, my friend.
Thanks, Filthy. Thanks for having me, bravo.
You're a busy man.
Yes, sir.
What's happening right at this present moment?
Right now, we're in Perth, beautiful WA, for UFC 284. Volk has a chance to move up to lightweight and take the belt for Islam. And shaking out to be a good card. We got Alex on the card, Loma Lukbunmi, a girl that we have, one of our strawweights. Some other Aussies. We have obviously Tyson, Tafa, a couple of the Usos, Malarkey, Jack Della, everybody like that on the card. So one of the Kiwis, we got Shane. So it's good to see all the boys. It's good to have everybody here. It's been, it's been 5 years since they had the last Perth card here. That's right. My last time coming was this past time. So I'm just good to be back, man. It's good to take everything in. Obviously, the Aussies are good people. They hold a special place on my heart. So It's nice to catch up with everybody and seeing everybody.
It's like a little MMA reunion all the time, isn't it?
It is. It really is, man. It's MMA is a small world. You know, even though it's a big on the global stage, it really is a small world, especially when you come to a place like Australia. Everybody knows everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody supports what everybody's doing and what they're trying to accomplish. It's not hard to get behind the Aussies and the Anzacs when they fight. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So let's go back. Let's go back to when the childhood, little Frankie and little George. Yeah. The growing up. What was growing up like?
There's a 3.5 age year difference between the two of us. We grew up in, most people know Wilmington, North Carolina, which is on the coast, the East Coast, Southeast, as they say. But we actually grew up just outside of it in a small little town called Castle Hayne. So Castle Hayne, North Carolina was a little country part. And that's where we grew up. We grew up outside the city, surrounded. We had fields everywhere around us, a couple neighbors, but we grew up that. George started wrestling early first, and then I got into wrestling. And then that was always just kind of a part of our childhood growing up. We both played a bit of other sports. I dabbled a bit with football, baseball, etc. But baseball. But the one that I always was coming back to was wrestling. So for the majority of our childhood, it was wrestling on the weekends, traveling all over North Carolina. Fortunate that my parents supported us in what we did, that we were able to travel around the Southeast, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, West Virginia, Ohio, Michigan. We went everywhere. So, most people went on vacations. We went to wrestling tournaments.
Crazy. And it's you guys have obviously from the young age, because I'm in a similar situation with my brother. We've lived pretty much life together everywhere, done business together, traveled together. And I see that with you and George. Everywhere you go, you're doing business together, but when you was growing up, competitiveness, obviously George, as you said, started wrestling first. Did you look up to George, or you just wanted to a bit competitive and just wanted to obviously beat each other in that sport, or just supported each other?
Well, yeah, I definitely supported what he was doing, but I was around it, so much. When he started, when he was about 6, I was 2.5 at that point, so I was there at the tournaments on the weekends supporting and doing all that. So I started out, I enjoyed it, and then from there I just kind of ran with it. I obviously got into it because he got into it, and I wanted to do what he did. But as I got more into it, I did like the competitive side of things. From an early age, I found success in it at the AAU level, at the kids level, and stuff like that. So I realized that at my age, I was doing a bit better than he was at that age. So I kind of started to compare it a bit. As we got older and matured a bit. As we got towards middle school, high school, obviously George was the better one, but that was something that was just our way of kind of, and it was difficult because I couldn't compete with him because he was much bigger than me. But sure. It was always the same tournaments, If I was at the tournament wrestling, so was he. And back then they set it up to where the kids would go in the morning, and then the older groups would go around lunchtime or in the evening. So I'd go first, finish. And then we'd stick around and watch him. Yeah, that's usually how it went.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
And being successful, obviously at young ages as well. The move from wrestling, George, I think, had a couple of MMA fights early on in the stage. you're just wrestling. You just stuck to wrestling as a youngster.
Yeah, I just did the wrestling. I didn't really think about getting into fighting. I first experienced it after summer of my sophomore year of college. My brother was living in Atlanta. We're from about 6 hours from where we were from. I went down to visit him for about a week, and I trained with him and a couple of the guys. I trained with like Jukau, Rafael, Sansao, those boys, Bedard. Trained with all them down there in Atlanta, Brian Stan, and just wrestling. It was just wrestling. Wrestled all the boys in that. And that was like my first taste of it. But, fast forward 2 years later, I graduated college in 2013. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to start selling cars. So,
really?
Yeah, in 2013, I graduated. 2 weeks later, I was in Atlanta, and I worked for Hendrick Automotive, which is Rick Hendrick owns about 100-something dealerships throughout the Southeast.
Okay.
And I worked for one. I worked for him for 3 years. And,
what was the thought? Obviously, did you really have that passion to sell cars?
Yeah, I did.
What sort of brought you to that passion?
One of my best mates growing up, Bo DeHaas, his dad, Dan, used to coach us in wrestling when we were youth growing up. Him and I started the same year, and our parents, we would always travel together and stuff like that. And he owned a car dealership, and I was always around it. And sometimes he'd pick me up, drop me off at practice, and it would be something new every day.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that he owned, but the dealership. He would just drive it, and I'm like, oh man, this is pretty cool. And so, and then when my brother graduated, I still have 4 years of college left. When my brother moved to Atlanta and started working for him and fighting as well, so he was fighting, and he was also working full time at the dealership. So I was around that kind of like lifestyle, even with George. Like I could see like, all these guys got something new, like blah, blah, blah. That's just cool. I had like a Dodge Neon in college, so just watching that, I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. And then I just knew when I graduated, I wanted to get away from wrestling for a bit, I knew there was no money in it. The thing with wrestling is it's so demanding on the body, but it's not like football, basketball, baseball, where you can go and excel and make millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
There comes a point to where you're going to be roughing it. And even like if you're a good assistant coach at a college, you're going to be making at that high end $40,000 to $50,000.
Really?
So,
that's all. Wow.
Yeah. So, it's not like those other high end sports where there's like good money in it. So I kind of knew that. And I kind of said, all right, I want to get away from this. I want to start making some money. I want to start putting some money in my bank and enjoying this lifestyle, because it's like a rush, a couple times when I would go down, my buddy Bo and I, we would run cars for the dealership. So we would both go pick one up, and then we'd bring it to another location and do that. And we got paid $20-$30 a car each time we did that. So within a week, we were doing we were doing about 5-6 a day.
Yeah, okay.
Boom, 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 boom. And it was like that. And then I just remember that's kind of like just being around that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everybody's like scrambling around. There's deals being made. There's people in the showrooms. And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know fuck all about cars, right? I know about Mazdas because that's what we sold brand new. So I did all the Mazda training in that. Perfect. I could tell you some other little stuff, but if you're going to ask me, well, it's this, how does this work?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, hold on a minute. Let me, I don't want to get too in depth about that because I don't know, I was just good with people. I just got people to like me. They'd feel comfortable. And then from there, we'd have a conversation. And that's what attracted me to it, kind of just being around it and realizing, kind of like the boys come in with the slick shoes. They got the hair back, blah, blah, blah. To me, that was kind of like an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And then that was something that when I started doing it about 3-4 weeks in, I knew that I was pretty good at it. And I was like, oh yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
So to me, making money and getting to do that stuff, going on test drives, like delivering cars to people. And with my ADHD, I was always busy.
Yeah.
So before you look up, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you're ready to almost, people coming out of finance, you're ready to go. So that was, to me, was what really attracted me to it.
Yeah. Fair enough. So when you get to that point, growing up, you like that. When did you you get to the stage. I think George moved back to Thailand. Oh, George moved to Thailand.
George moved to Thailand in 2014.
Yep. And then when was that part? Because obviously then you followed.
Yeah, so George moved in 2014 to Thailand. He came by my work on his off day and he was just like, hey, I'm moving to Thailand. And I had no idea where Thailand was. And I was just like, oh, yeah, sweet. When are you moving? And he's like, oh, 2 weeks. And I'm like, fuck, that's pretty soon. I was like, all right.
Crazy.
So, did our thing. Dropped him off at the airport. Within a couple of days, I went by his apartment. He was living with his buddy and I picked up like the rest of his shit, you know. And then I got to thinking, well, if he's going to do his dream, like I should start thinking about mine. So there's a Division I university called Appalachian State, where I'm from in North Carolina, in the mountains, like the western part of the state. Okay. And they were looking for an assistant. They wanted an assistant wrestling coach. And I had known the head coach, this guy, John Mark Bentley, great guy, great Christian guy. He kind of reached out to me and one day out of the blue when I was like thinking about something and we had never really communicated before. Yeah, right. And I was like, fuck, is this really happening? So we chatted a bit and then I ended up going down on an interview. I went to like some spring thing for Hendrick in Charlotte. It was about an 1.5-hour drive. So I shot down, stayed the night, trained, came back the next night. And the next day, he had offered me the job. He was like, hey, and I kind of pondered on it. I didn't ponder that long. Nah. I had a feeling if he was going to offer me, I was going to do it. Yep. So I jumped at it. I was like, all right, sweet. So boom, I did that. Took the job, went in, told my boss. It was a bit of a hectic conversation, because it was more of like him and I's relationship was a bit different. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a normal, like,
a bit like a family.
Yeah, it wasn't like a manager guy to where like I was replaceable. Yep. And I did that, and then that was 2014, and then I did that for 1 year. Okay. So I went in, did it for a year, enjoyed it, loved it, realized that coaching young adults when I was a young adult wasn't the right thing for me at the time. I was single, still kind of running amok. Yep. Small college, it was a college town and stuff like that. So everybody knew everybody's business and shit like that. And it could have been, and I'm like, man, like this isn't the ideal place because it's so small and stuff like that. So I went in and had a conversation with him and I was like, hey, listen, like this isn't, it's nothing with you. I was like, I just don't think I'm ready. Yeah. Boom. He was like, okay, you're going to stay, when are you going to leave? Another couple of weeks? And this was a Monday. And I said, nah, bro. I said, I'll be out on a Wednesday. So he was a bit shocked. Yeah, he was a bit shocked. But like I said, and now their team is doing great, man.
Is it?
It was an awesome experience. 3 national qualifiers, a couple of the Southern Conference champs. It was a good dual team. We traveled a bit. Yep. I got to experience a lot. Dealt with parents, saw that side of things. Did the recruiting process, so I understand that side of things. But I knew what I was going to do, so I left. I had just gotten a passport, booked a ticket right away for 3 weeks to go visit my brother. Yep. He had been there a year now already. Fly in, spend 3 weeks in Phuket, and I realized, like, man, I really like this place. You know? Come back land on a Sunday, Saturday night, Sunday. Go back to the car business. So now I'm there for 2 years. So I jumped right back in the car business. Okay, yeah, right. Start doing my thing again. And then about a year in, it really started to hit me like, my brother was at that time, he was at Tiger, and he was like, listen, I'm doing the wrestling and the MMA, which he was more than capable of doing. Yeah. But if you want to give this Hickman Bros thing a crack, he's like, you come out, I'll run the MMA, you run the wrestling, I'll assist you, you assist me. And the more I thought about it, the more I started to itch at it. And then I, got to thinking, and then, there were some things holding me back. I had a car I needed to sell, like a Corvette. So that was, a bit, and then I just chucked it online one day on Craigslist. Yeah. Within 2 weeks, somebody had like bought it. Within 3 weeks, somebody bought it. And I was like, this is getting like serious. And then I left in May. So this was February, I believe. And then March rolls around. And then I knew I had 4 roommates. One of them was my best mate who was moving back home. Yep. The other one was my boy Harold, who I knew was going to find a place. And then the other 2 were, back then, Sarah and Sean. they were together, so they were going to get their own spot. So really, they were going to allow, we were going to get it at the least ended in May. And I was like, well, I can fuck off, and then you guys can just handle the rest.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened. You know, once I sold my car, I had a salesman that worked for me I worked at a Mini Cooper dealership. Every night I'd toss him the keys to one and he would pull it out the back. Then I would just run out the back, drive out the back to work because I live close. Every morning I'd get there extra early and we'd come swinging in. I'd put it back on the lot. I did that for probably 5 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, like it was like pretty, you know, and then my boss caught wind of it. I was going to tell him. He caught wind of it from someone else.
Yeah, okay.
That was another conversation in itself.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I'll finish the month. Like I'll put in my 2 weeks, but I'll finish the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then I said, but in April, you know, I'm going to, and he, you know, bitched and moaned a bit, but is what it is. And that's what happened. So then April came around, did some traveling. My buddy got married, saw my grandparents, stuff, went down to Florida, blah, blah, blah. And then May 2017, wheels were up. And I was over in Thailand.
Yeah. And basically from then on, it's been one hectic life, huh?
Yeah, from then on,
Because I've known you since going over to Thai with Mark Hunt and all that, but previously knew what you're doing over there with wrestling. But just to see over the years now, like you must sometimes sit back now, making that decision to go over with George, running a successful, like the Tiger part when you was in with the Hickman brothers, but now you're not only working with the elites of the elites.
Yes, sir.
With City Kickboxing and Alex Volkanovski, all the great fighters at the moment, you always see one of the Hickmans around somewhere.
Yes, sir.
But now you've got your own establishment over in Phuket.
Yes, sir.
So that's George and yourself.
George, myself, Woody, the Jew, and a couple other boys.
Woody's the strength conditioning guy?
Woody's the S&C guy. The Jew, Alex, does our...
Alex Childs, yes.
Shields.
Oh, Shields, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Childs.
No worries.
Alex, he's a singer?
He does our jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Then we got Big Dave, and then we got a couple of the boys as well. You know, Volk and Joe are also invested as well. So it's good, man. It's
And what's the gym's name?
Bangtao, Muay Thai, and MMA.
Okay, beautiful.
So Bangtao is located in northern part of Phuket.
Yep.
About 20 minutes from the airport. In the Bangtao Surin area, we're about 3 minutes from Bangtao Beach. We're about 5 minutes from Surin.
Yeah.
So we really are right there in God's country, as I call it. We're in a nice, cozy little spot, man. And
beautiful.
We offer it all: Muay Thai, S&C, wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu. We do yoga now as well. We do the Muay Thai. We have a grill cafe called Ringside.
Oh, beautiful.
Things are good. We have a gear shop. We get all of our gear done through one of the boys, Ash and the Gauge.
Yep. Oh, yes.
He's another guy that's stuck with us from the get-go, believed in the dream, and has backed us. So what better way to have somebody on board with us than to use our clothing through him? And not only that, Ash is a good cunt, man. He's done a lot for the boys.
Yep.
Even before the gym, you know, he's built Engage from the ground up.
I was going to say, he's done that pretty much from the ground up. And he seems like a very good businessman because he's got onto Izzy and Alex when they were first obviously on the scene.
Yes, sir.
And they obviously promoted Engage, but that team, it's sort of the way you guys are building it, the way an outsider like me, and I've been around this game for a long time, is you got a very good team with the likes of Ash at Engage Clothing. Then you got your guys at your gym who are supporting you, Joe, Alex, the City Kickboxing,
yes, sir.
You know, Eugene, who to me is one of the masterminds of the MMA world as we speak. And I know his background with Lolo and a few of the other crew when he was younger as well. But that must be a bit of a buzz when you're working with some of those guys now and forming a team, which really at this point is an unbeatable team if you look at the stats in champions and people, but probably outside of the champions and so forth, it's more the camaraderie, the loyalty and the community that you guys have. It's
the boys. It is. It's before the boys were at this stage, we were all just chatting shit, kicking about, having a laugh. Like that's a good thing about us. And even though the boys are getting better and excelling and stuff like that, and it doesn't change. We still talk shit. We still run each other down. We still fucking...
As you do as friends.
As we do as friends, we put as much shit on each other as we can. And to me, that's the beauty of it. That's what keeps us grounded. You know, nobody's safe. Eugene, Joe, Israel, Alex, Brad. Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
Everybody can cop it at any point in time. If you get too ahead of yourself, we'll let you know about it.
Yep.
And yeah, man, it's good.
And how's your body? Obviously, still a young whippersnapper at this point, but when you're training, because you're physically in there, you're not just standing back going, okay, well, I want you to do this, do that.
Yes, sir.
But what's your body and take on? How's that holding up?
It's been a bit beaten up.
Yeah,
but it comes with it.
Yeah,
it just comes with it. It's part of it. Like what I do for a living, I don't take for granted at all. So I'm fortunate, man. So again, as you get older, you have your little niggles and little injuries and this and that. But I find ways to work around it. You know, I got to do what's best for the boys. Like
100%.
So if that means I got to tape something up or whatever, then I'll do that. You know, I've had my when the boys fought in New York, I did something the last day of sparring and fucking tweaked my rib a bit, but we taped it up. You get through it and stuff like that. You monitor it and stuff, but you deal with it after the camp's done. You deal with it when you put that on the back burner.
Like a fight, basically. Yes. When you get injured in a fight, you just carry on until after fight, then you go and get it all seen to.
Yes, sir.
Who's been that person who you thought, I'll work with them, and next minute they've shocked you? One with their work rate, one with their ethics, and one with their strength, so to speak?
Well, it's hard not to put somebody like Alex in the conversation, when I first worked with him 5 years ago, and how not only I focus on the wrestling. I try to stay in my lane, but not only how much better he's gotten with the wrestling, and it hasn't just been from me. There's other people that played parts, but with the wrestling, he's just boom, 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 gotten better. But also his IQ has just gotten tremendous. Just watching what he can do, how he can do it. The guys he fights, his work ethic is second to none. Broke hand, no broke hand. Hurt this, hurt that. He's in it. He doesn't take much time off. Him, obviously a guy like Israel who can, who everybody says can't do this and can't do that, but can get takedowns on fights. But also not only the wrestling side of things, his work ethic as well, and the way he can, make people fight his fight. How smart he is, how he can see things like as they're happening and make reads on stuff. People like Loma, Luke Boonmi, who when we got her, she weighed no more than 100 pounds. Really? Now she's, she gets up to about 125. Woody's done a tremendous job with her. George has done a great job evolving her. And, to seeing her now, I believe she's 3-2 or 4-2 in the UFC, knocking on the doors of just outside the top 15 probably. Her progress and how she's bought into the system. And like I said, man, I've seen her go with guys, bigger than her, and I've seen them, and I'm not exaggerating. I've seen her toss them around.
Yeah,
and
really? Wow.
I've seen her toss guys around. I've seen her put guys on their ass. She's another one that stands out. And then, people like Rafael Fiziev, who is tremendous. Obviously we were fortunate to work with guys like that.
Yep.
Peter Yan, you saw fly through the rankings, do stuff like that.
Yep.
Even people outside of the UFC, Top Noi is another one. Top Noi comes from a Muay Thai background, but bought into the MMA, and he's taking it seriously. Won his first round of the road to UFC. He wins one more, he'll probably get himself into the UFC.
Okay, he's
a character.
Yeah,
people like that. I could go on about it. We've been fortunate to work with a lot of guys.
And that's what I was going to say. What's some of the Alex, Israel, Tyson, Pedro,
well, even
Tai Tuivasa.
Look at guys like Tyson and Tai. Ty's come such a long way. Just from he's always had that mentality in him. But to watch Ty do his thing, have a setback, come back stronger as well. He's still young, but he's still getting so much better in this sport. You know what I mean? Tyson's another one who he has had some setbacks.
That's right. Yeah.
Then he had another one.
Yep.
But now he's looking down the barrel of another 3-fight win streak.
Yes.
He stops this guy in the first round. There's 3 first-round finishes in a row.
Yeah, then we're talking.
Then we're talking. Yeah. And, then you got guys like Justin who's doing great. Junior just got in.
Yes.
It is. It's great to watch. It's something that obviously we're proud of, but it's been something that a lot of people played a part in.
I was going to say,
of course.
It's a massive team, but it'd be like watching having a child and watching it grow and you know, progress and everything else, it must be a great feeling on that side again for you guys, because again, when people say Hickman brothers, whether it's George or Frankie, it's all you guys are the face of the Hickman brothers, and that's what people will respect. And in this game, you know, as I've said, I've been in this game for a long, long time, and you don't last in this game if you haven't got the respect of the true athletes, the true coaches. So I admire you and George for what you guys have done through being in Thailand, but coming from your wrestling, but just, you know, you can go up to you guys, approach you guys, and he's a down to earth, and I think that's the community that you involve yourself in. What's the vision going forward, obviously, for the gym over in Phuket?
Visions going forward is we want to obviously expand it a bit and just make it a place to where we can train, you know, great athletes. Obviously, we can produce more athletes. A place to where people can come on holiday and train, etc. You don't have to be a tremendous fighter, or you don't have to even come to our gym to want to fight. You can come to our gym to want to take S&C classes, to do yoga, to eat at the grill, you know, to just maybe do some evening rolls. Like, you know, we just want a place where people can come, feel comfortable, not be intimidated, enjoy themselves, and get training in while they're on holiday. You know, it's a place to where we don't have any egos. We're not into that. If you do have an ego, then you can get the fuck out. We're not into that by any means, you know. A place to where people can come train next to Alex, or they can spar with Loma. She needs a partner and not be intimidated. You know, that's what we're after.
And get motivated.
Of course. A place to where the boys can come over. And when the boys come over from Australia, New Zealand, boom. They know where they're going to go.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's, and you can see that growing. I can see that growing throughout the socials and everything else, but knowing you guys and how you guys run your community and your business, I really can't see it not succeeding in that way. So if I was to, I know you're a busy man, if I was to say, Frankie Hickman, right at this minute, what is your rich life? What is your rich life, and you know, that makes you happy and sort of complete at this point in your life?
What makes me happy is doing what I do, being around the atmosphere, being around the guys, making sure they're good. Whether it's being the logistics guy and driving them to wherever, or picking them up from the airport, or making sure their defense is on point, or making sure that I'm just like the hype guy to just keep the energy up, to talk shit. Like I have several different roles, you know what I mean? Like I whatever they need me for, I'm the guy for it. But like, this is why I moved to Thailand. This is what I came across the world for, and I jumped in this business for, is to make these relationships and to watch the boys or the girls get to where they want to be and excel, and, you know, make their country proud or their hometown proud. Like, you know, look at a girl like Loma. She comes from Bulilam, very poor area, not much there at all. And, you know, to see her now, she's in the Thai newspapers, and they support her, and Thai people have somebody that they can root for. That's incredible.
It's amazing story,
it's incredible. It's
amazing story.
You know, that's what you want to see. And again, I am very appreciative of this. I'm thankful that I'm at a point now to where we can have a gym, so we can call our own and bring people in. And you know, I'll do this until my body won't let me anymore. You know?
No, I appreciate it, mate. I appreciate your time coming on the Rich Life Projects, because as I say, it's fight week for you guys, and I appreciate and only hope, obviously, for the best for you guys. But again, Frankie, thank you for your time on the Rich Life Projects, my friend.
No problem, brother.
Champion.
Thank you.